She challenged every man who wanted to marry her. If they lost, they gave her 100 horses. If they won, they'd earn her hand. The problem? No one ever won. This is the true story of Khutulun, the undefeated Mongol warrior princess they tried to erase from history. She was born into blood, not of royalty alone, but of conquest. Her ancestors carved empires with arrows and fire. Her name, Khutulun, daughter of Genghis Khan and great-great-granddaughter of Genghis Khan. But unlike the princesses of legend who sat behind palace walls, Khutulun wore armor. She rode horses, wielded spears, and crushed warriors in the wrestling ring. In a world dominated by brutal men, she wasn't just accepted, she was feared, and she was never defeated. Khutulun was born around 1260, during one of the most chaotic periods in Mongol history. The empire Genghis Khan built had splintered into rival factions, each ruled by different branches of his descendants. Her father, Genghis Khan, ruled the Central Asian steppes and challenged the authority of Kublai Khan, emperor of the Yuan dynasty in China. That made Khutulun a princess of rebellion, raised in a warrior culture constantly at war with itself. From childhood, she was trained like a soldier. She learned to ride horses at full gallop, shoot arrows while standing on the saddle, and wrestle, a sport considered sacred among Mongols. She was her father's favorite, not just because of love, but because she was strong, smart, and absolutely fearless. As Khutulun came of age, her fame grew across the steppes. But marriage, for a woman of her status, was political. Alliances, power, and dowries. She wasn't interested. Instead, she made a vow. Any man who wishes to marry me must defeat me in a wrestling match. If he loses, he gives me 100 horses. Dozens of warriors tried. Some were princes, others seasoned generals. None succeeded. The horses piled up. Legend says she collected over 10,000 horses, each one earned through victory. This wasn't just sport. It was a statement. I choose who earns me, not the other way around. She became famous throughout the Mongol world, not for who she married, but for who she refused to bow to. Khutulun wasn't just a wrestler, she was a warrior in the field. She rode beside her father in battle, often leading charges into enemy lines. One report claimed she personally seized prisoners off their horses while galloping past, dragging them by sheer force. Kaidu trusted her more than his sons. He even considered naming her his successor, the next ruler of his territories. But the Mongol nobles were uneasy. A woman, no matter how skilled, would upend their vision of power. Despite her father's support, pressure mounted to sideline her. Eventually, Khutulun did marry, though records conflict on exactly whom. Some say it was a warrior she respected, others claim it was a man who had gained her trust in battle. But she chose him herself, not through defeat, not through pressure. This quiet act of agency was a rare privilege for a woman of her time. Yet even in her marriage, Khutulun remained independent. She continued to fight, train, and lead, her status never reduced to wife. She remained, above all, a warrior princess in command of her legacy. After Kaidu's death in 1301, power shifted quickly. Her brothers and male cousins took over the leadership she had once been promised. Khutulun faded from the pages of Mongol history, not because she failed, but because her story didn't fit the mold. Later historians, particularly Persian and Chinese chroniclers, either downplayed her achievements or ignored her entirely. Only scattered records, including those of Marco Polo, kept her memory alive. Polo described her as the most renowned wrestler in the Mongol Empire, a woman stronger than any man. Khutulun's story would resurface centuries later in art and opera. She was the inspiration for Princess Turandot, the icy royal who challenged suitors to deadly tests. But the real Khutulun was no fictional figure. She lived, fought, and ruled in a time when women were rarely seen as more than bargaining chips. She proved that strength, loyalty, and honor were not bound by gender, and that fear and respect can come from skill, not status. In the end, Khutulun wasn't just a warrior. She was a challenge to her era. She didn't conquer cities, she conquered expectation. She wasn't remembered for who she married, but for who she refused to surrender to. Her horses, her victories, and her independence still echo across the steppes today. This is Vaults of History. Subscribe for more untold truths and buried legends. And remember, sometimes the strongest warrior wears no crown.